Today we're going to talk about the anti-inflammatory diet. What is inflammation?
It's a good question, and we probably heard the word inflammation before. And if you've watched TV at all, you hear the word inflammation because of Advil, Aleve, Tylenol, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
So we've heard the word inflammation, and so the first question is, what is inflammation?
It's a great thing. It's a part of your body's response to something, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's an immune system thing.
It's an immune system. Your body feels like it's under attack. There's
Yeah.
some sort of injury, so it's trying to self-protect.
Okay.
And so that's what inflammation is. Now, what it's trying to do is it's trying to get the things that it's attacking, that it feels like is attacking it. You saw the air bunnies there.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to get those things out and put, of course, healthier things back in. So it is a natural process that literally keeps us alive every single day.
It's amazing. It's an amazing process if you think of just a sliver in your hand, the instantaneous amount of possible pain, possible swelling that happens right there. It shows you that inflammation comes right now. There's no second guessing it. It's not, you have to go to a medicine cabinet and get inflammation stuff to put on there. It's already happening for you.
The system's already running.
Yeah.
And so here's what it is, though. Is we say, okay, we say what is inflammation, and we say, is it a good thing or a bad thing? And the answer is,
it's a great thing.
But it's also
and a bad thing,
yes.
right? Because that's what a lot of times you'll see, like right now, especially. A lot of times you're seeing on, social posts and everything else, reducing your amount of inflammation. And turmeric would be a good example of a thing that was trending for a while to reduce that. But you got to figure out how inflammation works, I think, first.
Yeah, because the reality is, if you shut down all inflammation, you're dead.
Yeah,
because you have no immune system. Yeah. But if you have too much inflammation, there could be a problem. What do we mean by that? Well, you used a great example already. You said a sliver in the hand.
Yeah.
So a sliver in the hand would be something called acute inflammation, not adorable like, oh, I got a cute sliver. But acute inflammation means a short-term process.
Right.
You get this short-term problem, and your body goes in and attacks that short-term problem, gets all the bacteria and the stuff that could really jack you up out of the system. I use the example of if we're walking around and we hit our shin on the coffee table or something, we develop a bruise from that.
Correct.
After saying a few choice words, our inflammation process is getting started, and our body heals that bruise, right?
Yeah, and it's neat. The body has created, and you study it all the time, us doctors do, the processes that it goes through, but it's almost like instantaneous, like really the reaction is stunning.
Going back to the definition of inflammation is it's trying to self-protect the body from an injury. Instantaneously the body goes, injury, I got to take care of this.
Yeah. So how intelligent is that system?
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's amazing. So what's the other downside of that?
Well, you say that, and I got to throw out an epigram. I am who I am.
Please do that.
One of the things that we say in chiropractic all the time is the body needs no help; it just needs no interference.
Yeah, which is awesome.
And inflammation is your body getting interfered with. Now we talk about acute, and like I've just answered the question you asked before I went off my tangent, like usual. Is acute inflammation is a great thing.
Yes.
Chronic inflammation is not a good thing.
Yeah, those two words kind of suck when they're together. Inflammation by itself, best process you'll probably ever
it keeps you alive.
Need, right?
Keeps you alive.
Chronic though,
well, we talk about the word acute. What does chronic mean?
Chronic means it's constantly there. So it means this system that was starting with the sliver, it started, right? So it was kind of like the on switch, the motor's turning, the inflammation's coming. Chronic is, it's going still. Why is it going still? And that's the key to understanding on how all this works is, why would a system that's not really going all the time start going every second of the day? And that's what you would call chronic. Sometimes we get lost in that word chronic and how severe it actually is. We hear chronic arthritis, everybody links those things together.
Of course, we also think of the classic 1992 album by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg called The Chronic as well.
It's like this and like that and like this, and it's like that and like this and like that, Atlanta, it's like this. The new
Yeah, that's right. Smash like if you've heard that one before.
Yeah,
I don't think they have. That's right.
Oh my gosh, everyone's heard that.
Heard that one. It's awesome.
Yes,
I like that one.
So, but you know, so just as an example, and you know, you guys know we're chiropractors at this point. If you don't, hey, we're chiropractors.
Yeah.
So we talk about chronic inflammation. We got people that come in here with a bum knee.
Yeah.
And you know, 30 years ago they tweaked it in football, and like an imbalanced tire, it just kept rubbing, and it just kept wearing out, degenerating, getting arthritic. That's a chronic inflammatory process.
Correct.
Now, you can go doom and gloom, or you can be wise and go to a chiropractor and make sure it's aligned as best as it possibly can be,
Yep.
which will slow, stop, and potentially at some point even reverse that inflammatory process.
Exactly. Now, how does it do that? That's the
Well,
interesting thing.
Yeah, well, it's because we go back to the definition of inflammation.
Yep.
It's the injury.
Yep.
If we can remove the injury from the body, which is what chiropractic is looking to do,
Correct.
one of the many things, but one of
Yeah.
the things we're looking to do is look to remove injury, interference, as we talked about with that quote.
Exactly.
If we can remove that, the body starts to heal itself properly, not improperly.
Correct.
But it's not just limited to joints. Chronic inflammation is actually found in literally every single disease process.
Yep.
So
Everyone.
if you got heart disease,
Chronic inflammation.
if you got diabetes,
chronic
if you got
inflammation.
fibromyalgia or these other autoimmune crappy things.
Exactly. And you can put them all under. If you had one condition that you could potentially say, any named one like
Yep.
that, any chronic one has an overlying process called chronic inflammation all day long. So
And the biggie, the one that has affected every single person at this table, which is us,
Yep.
but every single person watching right now, guaranteed,
Yeah.
is cancer.
Yep.
And as Dr. James said from MBS Board Review, cancer is the answer.
yeah.
Remember that?
I do.
Do you?
That's
Okay.
so funny. That's
But so that's a chronic inflammatory process, and so you need to understand that it's your body just going, there's something attacking me, there's some sort of injury, I'm trying, but think of like if the dam leaks and you and I got a bucket and we're trying to
Yes.
bail out.
Right.
You know, we're trying, but they're only doing so much for the problem. And that's what a chronic inflammatory process
Exactly.
is. But it then puts stresses on other parts of the body. And
Correct.
that's where sickness and disease come.
right. And you got to also think if anything that you hear in your life is chronic, one of the problems is that means also that you have a motor that's running
That's great.
all the time.
Yeah.
That's supposed to only run a little bit. So that would be one of the things. So what are you going to do to that system? You're going to have it start reducing itself. So that's the fascination part for us as chiropractors, because you're going, okay, these things are not old, like when they say chronic injuries. One of my favorite jokes, I wish I could tell you the chiropractor that told me. So this, oh man, there's old Arthur in this shoulder, and I go, so how old's your other shoulder?
Yeah.
Because that one's not hurting right now, is it? So it's the interference pattern that's causing this chronic thing. So is it the Arthur in the shoulder, or is it something else going on?
Yep.
And that's what you got to get in depth or get good at knowing.
Yep.
It's
It's funny, as you said about the motor running. I just had a visual because I had a buddy, and his sump pump started running 24/7. And sump pumps are designed to suck water out, but they're not designed to work 24/7.
Right.
And so he could have just said, it's working. There's no water in the basement. We're good.
Yeah.
Instead, he realized that there was some sort of stress on the system that was bringing more water into his house.
That's like one of the
So he
best.
had to figure out what it was.
Right.
And he found out where the leak was, fixed the leak, and the sump pump stopped working 24/7. But that's what chronic inflammation is it's
interesting.
working 24/7. And if you don't fix it, it is going to crap out on you. It is going to fall apart, and you're going to have sickness and disease.
Absolutely.
And so-
wow, that was a good analogy. I like that one.
It's funny you said that, and I remember hearing it.
Yeah.
I remember, and I was stressed
gonna
for
use
him
that all the
because
time.
it was his business. It wasn't my business, but I was stressed for him.
Exactly.
So, here's our quick summary. Inflammation. Inflammation is your body's response to an injury,
Yeah.
and it's just trying to repair that injury. Acute inflammation, fantastic. That's the sliver that Dr. Jeromy talked about. That's the hit in the shin. That's great. It's the chronic inflammation, the long-term injuries, like you said, the shoulder. How old's your shoulder? One shoulder worse than the other. It's those things. It's the cancer, the diabetes, the heart disease. It's that stuff that is bad. Now, here's the cool part.
Yeah.
There are things you can do to help.
Yeah.
Not eliminate. And I don't want to maybe eliminate, but that's not the guarantee we're looking
No.
for right now. But if you could take just a little bit of pressure off, how well can your health improve?
Exactly.
Well, let's find out. So what we need you to do is you're going to see some videos here, and we're going to have one that's going to talk about anti-inflammatory foods. And anti is usually a negative term, but in this case, it's a good term,
it's a
right?
great term. Yep, that's perfect.
It means foods that knock down inflammation. And then we're going to look at inflammatory foods, so foods that will increase inflammation. And if you understand what those foods are, and we'll talk more about it, that you can actually help control this process, and more importantly, take charge of your health. Because as we say in chiropractic all the time, health is a choice.
It is a choice, and the biggest thing is like, what is your journey? What's your path gonna be, you know, as you go? Holistic is all about the understanding of this. You don't have to live with it, you know, that's the thing. So, but who's gonna help you? You are, you know, and so that's the biggest thing. The more you understand, the better off, and we're so pumped about the next couple videos coming up right after this.